Welcome back, everybody. My name is Joe. This is Work Hard RC, and today we're going to be going over our build from Little Guy Racing Parts, this guy right here. Now, we're going to quickly go over this, but we're also going to build one from the ground up with the parts that I use and kind of show you how we have it tuned and what kind of things that we do to our shocks and springs. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so like I mentioned, we're going to be going over this little guy, the 24 scale Little Guy Racing Parts build that we did using the comp chassis kit, and then we have the X Factor body. Now I'm going to briefly just go over what we have in this, but we're going to do a ground up build with parts that we ordered from Little Guy Racing Parts and a few other parts that we use that aren't Little Guy Racing Parts that I put into this build, mostly just being the motor. Now I know Little Guy Racing Parts uses the Furitek system as far as their motor, just branded with Little Guy Racing Parts. And see if I can get this open here. There we go. So as you can see internally what we have. So the biggest thing in here that we don't have that's branded Little Guy Racing Parts is going to be the motor and the transmission, and then of course we use the Meus controller and receiver. So I'll show you guys that, and I'll show you guys where we order it from, as well as a full breakdown of what we have inside of this guy right here. Now I'm going to go through the box of parts that we got. Now we are members and part of their, I believe it's a subscription. So with that, we pay a certain price per month. I believe it's $9.99 or $100 a year, and we get 15% off all of our orders, and then we get free shipping. So we're a member there, and then they just had a Father's Day sale, so it was an additional 15% off. So with the sale, we got 15% off our parts and an additional 15% with our subscription. So we did save some money there, and that's kind of what I was waiting for before I started this, to see what kind of sale they were gonna have so I can pair it with that subscription. And we went ahead and ordered everything that I could think of at the time. I did forget a few pieces, and we'll be getting those here in a little while. But let's go ahead and break down the box, see what we got from them over at Little Guy Racing Parts. Now, they are based in Simi Valley, California, and we're in California. So later in July, they're going to be having a, I believe it's a swap meet or a yard sale. I'm not sure how they have it on their Instagram, but either way, we're going to be heading out to the facility later in July, do some videos there, meet the guys out there, and have some of our items for sale and on display. But let's go ahead and show you everything that we ordered just in the box, and some things I didn't order that we'll be getting here soon that I can't show you, and then what we're going to be doing and installing, and I'll show you the body that we already have painted. And if you guys want to see that body in another video and how we paint it, I can do that, and I probably won't be breaking down how to install the motor since we already have an install video on that too. So just going to show you what we have in the box, and then we'll put it all together. Now I do want to say that this will be a little bit longer of a video because we're going to be doing everything from tire install to the axles to everything that we're going to be putting into this, with just a few exceptions. So first and foremost, we have the X Factor body, and I'll be trying to link everything here on the side that'll show you where it is on the website, the part number, and the price. So we do have the X Factor body. Before I go too far though, I will tell you that we did already open one up, and we went with a blue color scheme. So this is a color scheme we're going to be going with on the new build. Now, another thing that we ordered that I don't have fully in a container or brand new, because I did cut some of the decals out, is this piece here. Now this is going to have all of the decals you see here on the side and that Toyota. So I went ahead and cut them out already, but this is something that I did order, and I will link that here too, so you guys can see where that is on the website, so that you guys can purchase that should you guys go with the same design that we did. Otherwise, you do have other decals here that you can kind of see that you can use. And one thing that I do, some other folks don't, they'll just use the Yoda or toy. For me, given I know how kind of things work, they can't really put the Toyota together, I just basically cut that piece and the toy piece here, put it together, and that's how I got it to say Toyota. I just like that. I think it looks cool when I do the Toyota Tuesday, which is when I get most of my comments on the builds. I wanted to keep with that. So there it is. I haven't taken off the outer film yet, but I'll give you guys a quick view of what it'll look like when I take all of this off. I did go with white wheels on this, so I think it's gonna look really nice with the blue, but kind of show you guys, let me take some of this off here, how nice that blue looks. Very nice. So that's the body we'll be using, and again, I'll link that here for you guys to check that out, along with the decals. Next thing I have on the table is the Super 8 axles, and I did get both of them. And they do sell them together, or you can buy them separate, or you can buy them four-wheel steer as well. So those are the ones I have, just regular axles, the Super 8s. And again, I'll link those here on the bottom so you guys can check out which ones they are. And then you can also check out the pricing. Now, I did get these in black because currently they're out of stock of the frame in gray. So I went ahead and got the frame in black, and I decided to do everything in black. So that's why you see the black axles here, as opposed to the other ones. You kind of see that gray bluish color there. But those are the axles I'll be using in this build. And like I mentioned, we do have an entire frame kit here. This is the comp frame kit, and it has everything they'll be needing to build that, and we'll get started on that here soon. I also ordered their shocks. Now, these are the 54 millimeter. Now, as far as what they recommend or what you think you like as far as shocks, that's all a matter of preference. I use the longer shocks because of the way I build it, and this is where I get a lot of questions on how I get my truck to ride the way that it does, the way that it looks, the way that it functions. It's because of shocks this size and how I use my limiting straps to get these to work correctly in the way that I like. So once I get these installed, I'll show you what I do and how I get it to work with my build. We also have the mount for the tremor servo. Now, they didn't have the tremor servos in stock, so we're going to be using the let me see which one it is here. The NSDRC, you're going to see it right there, servo. Now, that's one thing that I'll be picking up from our local store once they open up on a Tuesday, and because today I think it's Saturday, but we'll be getting this servo here. Or I may pull the one I have in here because this one's blue. This is one of their more limited colors, if you can kind of see that blue. So since we have a blue truck, I might pull this one, put this one in the blue truck, but either way we'll see. But I will be using that servo and the servo horn that comes with that color servo. So that's the servo I'll be using. This is the mount that I'll be using, since they didn't have the tremor in stock, but this mount works with the NSDRC. And then here we have the comp frame kit. This is the kit that goes with the frame, the chassis. This is going to be all the pieces you need, from the skid plate to the mounting system and everything else in between as far as the shock towers. All that's in this bag. It is 3D printed. Some of these parts I do have on this build that are metal, and I will be getting those metal pieces for this build. Those will be coming a little bit later in the mail, but for you guys won't see that in the video, just see me installing them. But this is the kit that has everything you need to put onto the chassis once you get it started. And then we also have the upper link for the rear. I went ahead and ordered that. I do have a few of these, but again, I wanted to keep it mostly as many parts, little guy racing parts, as I could. So I went ahead and ordered this part, and we'll be using that for this this particular build. Now, they didn't have their brand of the drive shafts, so I went ahead and ordered these here. These are the realdriveline.com, and it does show you on the website the different sizes you'll need for the different chassis, and that'll be right here. So we ordered 2 of those. They sell them individually. So you'll get 2 boxes with these in there, and these will fit the build perfectly. Now, when I first built my red truck here, I didn't have these. I kind of just Frankensteined it from other Injora parts and other pieces that I had. So you'll see here I have an Injora in the rear and some plastic, probably off of a Bronco or something, that I threw in there. But I ordered an extra set of these, so these as well will be going into this build, so this will be more complete as far as the drivetrain. So those you'll be needing to order for this build as well. And then, given the color scheme, I went ahead and ordered the white Cyclone beadlock wheels, which are these right here. And then I went ahead and ordered the Black Label tires, 63 millimeter, that we'll be throwing on here, testing these out. Now, I haven't owned the Black Label before. I have 2 other versions of their tires that I'm still testing out. But since I haven't tried out the Black Label, we're going to throw these on the blue truck and see how they do. We'll compare them, since now I'll have 2 trucks. I can compare them side by side as far as the wheels and put them through the same obstacles and see how they do. But that right there are the tires they're going to be using for the build. Now, as far as the controller, we have the Mias that we're going to be using for a lot of our builds, since I think this holds about 5 or 8 different vehicles you can throw on here. Now, I'll be using the certain receiver, which is this one right here. Now, this is a very small, this is the M04B. It's very, very small. Now, I use this for other builds, but since it saves so much space and I like to keep my build looking clean on the inside, I went ahead and went with this. Now, on some of them, you'll need the different style if you want to run a light and then control that light with the controller, which in my red truck, I'll show you what that looks like. It's a little bit different than this one, but this one's 4-channel, And for example, if you're doing a build like this and you need to save as much space as you can, you kind of see how everything's compact in there. That Mias receiver does very, very well. And if you guys want to see more videos on that by itself or on the controller or how I run that, let me know. I won't be going over that in the video. But again, if you guys have questions, I'll go over it briefly. If you want me to get more in depth, I will do that, just let me know. But as you can see in this build here, how much room that little receiver, actually, this one's got a different one. This is the one that you can actually control the lights with. So you can see it's a little bit bigger, but this one right here is the M04A, and that's the one you can control the lights. You can see I have the light bar, Little Guy Racing Parts light bar on that one. So that's what we're gonna be using as far as the controller. But let's go ahead and get these packages opened up. We'll start with the chassis, get all that put together. We'll start adding in other pieces, throw the wheels together. Some pieces I'll go more in depth, some I won't because I have other videos on. I'll just link them and I'll let you guys know. But let's go ahead and tear open these packages and get into it. All right, so before we go too far into everything, we're gonna go ahead and open up these wheels. I'll show you these briefly and then we'll just go ahead and put them together off camera just because I have a video already on how to install bead locks. Now, I don't have a set of the Cyclone tires yet, or the wheels yet, just because the other ones I ordered on a different sale, I didn't get these. So these are in white, and again, I think these look very nice with that blue X Factor body that we have painted. So we'll go ahead and put that up against the body, but that's what they look like there. They're very nice white, look like they're very nicely coated. Pretty thick coating too, doesn't look like we're having too many issues as far as it's scraping. And if we do, it should last a little while. And then the tires, we're gonna throw it on there. And we're gonna keep these tires as they are with the foam that they come with, just for the purpose of keeping everything the same from Little Guy Racing Parts. So these are the tires we're gonna have on there. These are the black label like I mentioned before. And you can see the tread pattern there, as opposed to these others. Now these are ones I've heard were really good. These are the claw hammer. You can see the tread there. These have worked very, very well. Now just for, I guess, kind of a story or for reference, I have quite a few builds now. I haven't shown all of them yet. I know I did some highlights on our Injora builds, but we have our little Ford truck that has a nacho chassis, and then we have this one that we still haven't even finished it, but we're gonna finish it very soon. And of all of the ones that we have, which is very many, this little guy is my favorite. Now it can't do everything, but it does just about everything well, meaning that, yeah, I can't get maybe up of a curb, right, just from the build, but as far as just having a blast with it, being reliable from the motor to the links to everything the way that it is, I love it. So to me, it's almost like a stock build out of the box, me putting it together and the reliability of it. That's why I like it so much, because I can take this thing out and have fun with it and keep up with everybody out there. Now, if somebody's getting crazy, maybe I can't keep up with it, but for the most part, it does everything well, and that's why I like it so much. And I'll show you guys at the end of the video, once we're done with this, how both of these run on our course, and really give you guys a good test and a feel for what it's like. So just know that's why I like Little Guy Racing Parts so much, and why this truck has become my favorite. I wanted to build another one. So in the future, we'll build one of the other bodies we have. I know they have an X Factor, or not an X Factor, the maybe it is, no, it's not the X Factor. Let me check online and see what that is real quick. There's another body or another frame that they have that I wanted to get, the Eliminator frame kit. So in the future, I might try that or the R Factor, just to kind of get a feel for different things they have. But for now, we're gonna do the second build from the ground up and show you guys. So again, these are the tires and the wheels we're gonna be using when you guys see them next time that we put together. So let's go ahead and put that on the side, and we'll briefly go over what's inside of the chassis. The chassis kit, we'll show you guys that, just for the purpose of you guys knowing what's in the box and the bag, and then we'll get it put together. That'll be our next step of putting this guy together right here. So as I mentioned before, you will have a bag full of parts here for the chassis, but inside of the bag with the chassis itself, you're gonna see the assembly instructions, which look like that right there. Very nice as far as the color coding, and then on the rear, this is also really cool. You'll see where all of the screws go. This isn't very common for a company to put a instruction manual together like this. I really do appreciate that from them putting that effort in, because I probably would have just thrown in a bunch of screws no matter where they go. So that's good to have if you guys have any questions as far as what screws to go to. Another nice thing about this is that given there's 3D parts, if you use a screw that's too long, it might break that 3D piece. So just know to use the screws that it calls for on the instructions. It also shows you how to install the links and where they go. So I would use this if you guys have any questions, just to kind of follow along on how it's put together. But that is nice to have that in there for you. Here you have all of the links nicely separated in the packaging. You do have the frame here, the actual chassis, 2 pieces. Then as we go further in, you'll have the metal bumper. And I thought it was plastic when I first ordered it, but it is metal. So I'll go ahead and take that off of my cart when I'm ordering my next order. So it is metal in the kit. And you have the rear hinge, which is also metal, matches all of the black chassis. You have all of your screws that's also coated with the instruction manual in mind. So you see the different red and purple color screws that go along with the manual here. So just know it has that. You also have your skid plate. And then you have your other screws here for the, I forget what these are for. Actually, these are for the tires. This come with that for the tires. That was somewhere else, but that's what it has inside of the kit. Now, one thing I might do, because I'd like to keep it all black. We'll see how I feel once I'm doing it here in a little bit. But the screws for the black kit are silver. It would have been cool to have a black screw kit with the black kit, but that's fine. It can have that two-tone look. I don't necessarily mind that. And if I do, then we'll just switch that to black. We have plenty of extra screws. But just know that if you want the black screws to go with the black kit, you'll have to order those separately, because it looks like in the kit, it comes with silver screws. So just keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and put this chassis together. We'll open everything else up, put it all together, and then we'll go on to our next step. All right, so we have the chassis put together. It went together very smoothly, and that's partly because, or mostly because, of how Little Guy Racing Parts puts together their instruction manual and have all of the screws separated. So as I showed you in the unboxing, how their screw sets come in little baggies, they're all color coded, and I'll show you a couple of those baggies real quick as I have them here at hand. You can see that just a couple of them. We have, this one is green, we have purple, and all of these bags being colored the way they are coincide with the instruction manual. And what's really cool that I haven't seen another company do who puts together a kit like this is it actually color codes the screws, the sizes, and where it goes on the chassis. So that was really, really spectacular in the sense of how they put it all together, color coded the screws, showed you exactly where they went, so there's no questions. I've been putting together some of these cars for a while now, and I have a box full of screws. As we all know, we collect over time, nice and full of screws that we have either left over or just extras. And sometimes we put the wrong screw in there, it doesn't fit right. This one is perfect in the sense of how it was built and where the screws go. So that's why it went together very well. Now, I didn't get all of my machine parts in yet. I am waiting for the shock towers and then these bone pieces in the middle, the cross supports here. I don't have those yet. So we're just gonna go ahead and put it together as it is with the links and everything in place. Now, I do highly suggest that you upgrade these pieces here for the shock towers and the support here in the middle, only because as I was installing this support here, I had a crack on that 3D printed piece right there. So I would highly suggest, they're not too expensive. I want to say they're like $20 or so. I'll link it right here on the side so you guys can check out what I'm talking about as far as the shock towers and as far as the braces that go in the middle. I do recommend those. I do have those on my other build. So you can see this one here is more complete and it's got all the metal pieces. They do come in the gray and they also come in black. So I'll more than likely order the black ones for this. And in case you guys noticed from this, I do have the Spider 9s installed in this. Last time I showed you guys just a few seconds ago, it didn't have it installed. So between me recording this and now, about maybe 2 days after Father's Day, they released the Spider 9s and I immediately ordered them, got them in stock, and installed them on this guy. So kind of changed up this build just a little bit, only because I had installed this blue servo in there from NSDRC, and I put the blue body on there just to kind of show. And given the blue accents on the Spider 9s and all the way around, I'm probably going to keep the blue body in here, but we're still going to continue to build it as it is. But just look at those Spider 9s. I'll probably do a review on those and maybe do a side-by-side comparison of the Super 8s and the Spider 9s. But they do look great. There are some really big differences between the two, even as far as how they install. So I'll go over that later. But just so you know, those metal components there will serve you well should you order them for your build, only because over time and tweaking around and crawling and being on the trail with this, those supports, I want to say, won't last too long. Metal's the way to go on those. So again, I'll link those here on the side, and you guys can order some of those should you guys like to do that. So I didn't change over the screws. You can see that silver and black, but it does look pretty nice. I'll probably keep it like that. So very nice so far. What we're going to do next is we're probably going to install, let's go with the, where are the, here they are. So we have everything set up for our axles. We went ahead and put on the servo mount there. I do usually put weights in the front, so we went ahead and put our weights here on the front already, so those are already installed. Have everything ready to go on this axle. And then on the rear, I went ahead and installed the rear link plate for the top. So that's all ready to go. But what we'll do first is we'll go ahead and install the axles. Then we'll go forward and install at least the top portion of the long travel shocks. And then we'll install the servo. I'll save the servo to last. Well, before the servo, we'll do the drivetrain, the drive shafts. And the reason why I'll save the servo for last is I still need to get the motor installed. We'll do that after the servo. But I do need to install this plate to reroute the wire so that it goes out the back. We'll do that on camera as well, so you guys can check out that and show you the parts number for that. Now that's the servo we're going to install. Let's go ahead and get these axles installed. All right, so we have everything ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and install the front and rear parts of the drive shaft onto the axles before we get started. Now, this is a matter of preference on how you do it, but I tend to install this piece on the axle itself and this piece onto the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the side so we get the motor installed. We get that installed, so we get the other one on the side as well. And I'm going to install these briefly onto the, oh, this camera down just a little bit, onto the axle. So these are ready to go. This one will go into the rear. We have the rear ready to go and set up. And we have the front ready to go and set up. So now that we have that done, I'm going to start with installing the axles in the rear first. So you do have an upper and lower mount as far as how the axles are installed with the links. This piece here is going to be considered the upper. This piece down here is going to be where the lower link's set up. The links you see here that have the logo LGRP, those would be the lower links, but as you're looking at it, I'm going to install it kind of upside down to make my life a bit easier. So we're going to install those up top and the other ones on the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we have the upper links installed. Let's go ahead and do the lower links now. All right, so we have the rear axles installed. Let's go ahead and put the front axles on in the same method, basically upper and lower links installed. Now, we will have to choose on the servo mount what hole space or which hole we want to put it on as far as the link. I'm going to go ahead and use that middle hole, and then we'll go from there. It tends to work well for me when I put it there. If I need to move it forward or more in the rear, we'll do that. But I'm going to start right here on that middle hole for that upper link. All right, so we have those axles installed, looking pretty good. Now, next part, what I'm gonna do here is install the shocks. Now again, these are the long travel shocks. I tend to go with these on most of my builds, and I'll link these right here for you guys to check them out if you want to order the same ones. There are reasons why I go with this, and I'll show you that here in a little bit in the video, a little bit later. But let's go ahead and open these up. Now, right out of the bag, you can see that I don't have a knife on me. We're gonna have to open this up by just ripping it open, I guess. One thing I noticed and I do appreciate is that all of the hardware is already installed onto the shock. So let me get that zoom in for you. So you don't have to be dealing with any of the installation of that or the O-rings or anything like that. So that's already done. That's a nice feature. Now, one thing I will do on these right off is I'm gonna change out the springs. And again, I do this just out of experience because I know which ones to install for my uses. But I'm going to take these gold, see if I can pull one of these apart here. They are kind of stuck together, but let me see if I can pull the gold one out here for you. But essentially we're just going to use the gold springs. Now from my feel, these tend to be not as tense and as hard as the ones that are in the bag, and then they seem to be just a little bit harder than the ones that are installed. So I kind of like that medium tension of the springs. So once I get these all pulled apart, we'll get these ready to go and install. So we have, if I can get these apart here, 4 of those springs. So I'm going to set those on the side. We're going to put the spare springs here on the side, and we'll put them back in the bag just for now. And then in order to take these off, if you haven't taken them off before, you're going to essentially just pull back on the spring. You're going to hold on to that piece there and just screw this piece off, and it'll come right off. Here's where you got to be a little bit careful because you don't want to let this kind of just spring back. You want to kind of hold it like that so everything stays with the gravity down. Take that spring off. I'm going to install the gold spring. I'm going to pull it back just like I did before. Hold on to that piece just like that again, and then just screw it back together. Now we're going to do that for all 4 of the shocks so that we have the gold spring installed on them. So I'm going to do that real quick. And just like that, we have all of the gold springs installed onto our shocks, and those are ready to go for the next part. Now, sometimes I run my shocks upside down, sometimes I don't. But given how these trucks run for me and what I use them for, I'm probably just going to have them installed in the upright position. So it'll be a little bit different from what you see in my other builds where they're upside down. But I figured since I'm going to keep it all little guy racing parts, I may as well just have the logo showing up on the top just for the sake of promoting their brand and when I go out and do different things. So we're going to keep that right side up. We're going to go and get those installed. It does come with the hardware in a little bag here for you to use, and it should all fit 100% with the hardware it comes. So we're going to go ahead and open this hardware up and see in fact if it does work. Really wish I had my knife. I don't. All right, so we have the hardware right here, all out. Looks like we should be good with the hardware that it comes with, so let's go ahead and get this installed. I'm going to show you the position that I run my shocks on the most part on this style of build, and I'll tell you the reason why, again, in a little while once we get this more completed. But essentially, you're going to see the shock tower. This is the front. You have a front hole here, right there, then you have one in the rear. I'm going to install this shock into that upper rear position. Actually, I'm going to install it into that rear position, but in the hole just one down. So you'll see that right now once I get it started. I believe that's how I have my other one set up. Let me just double check. Yeah. Now this gives me, for my purposes, the ultimate ride height once I add my limiting bands, and I'll show you that again a little bit later. You see in the rear of the shock tower, just one hole down is where I mount that. And then I proceed to just mount the shock to the axle as you would normally. Just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and do the other side. All right, so now we have both sides done. We're going to essentially do the same thing. Looks like after me saying I mounted it in the wrong hole. But essentially what we're going to do is mount them very similar in the rear, just in a different position. So I'll show you, I'll go ahead and install them, and then I'll show you in the position that I mounted them to, because everything else is going to be the same, which you guys already probably know. It's just a matter of where I mount it onto the shock tower. So I'm going to get that installed real quick, and I'll show you where I have it on the shock tower. All right, so we have the front and the rear shocks installed. Look like they're ready to go. So now we're going to go ahead and get started on installing the servo. So we'll get that installed. We're going to be putting this one. Now we'll be swapping some things around. So you see this one's red. This is the NSDRC. This one's these just came out. I think they're like a limited as far as the colors. Usually like all black or silver and black. So we got the red and black. So I probably will be swapping the bodies down the road with the one I have with the blue and just different things. So eventually this build will have a red body, but I'll be installing the blue body just for the purpose of the videos. Kind of switch things up as I was going along, only because I got my hands on the blue servo and this one needed the servo. So this one came out the way I liked it, and we're gonna keep that like that. But for now, for the purposes of everything the way it is, we're gonna install this servo. onto here. But before we do that, we're going to install this plate that NSDRC makes. Essentially, this is going to do is going to take this wire that's on the side and route it to the back, so that we have this wire sticking straight out into the back, and to the side, so we don't interfere with any of our ability to clear the frame or the chassis as we're driving along on the rocks and the trail. So we're going to go ahead and have that shoot straight out the back. Let's get that installed real quick into the back, and then we'll proceed. All right, so we have our NSDRC Servo here. This is the RS100. As you can see, it is the colored version. These are the more limited, I believe, or the new ones that came out. So we're going to go ahead and put the different plate in the back, where actually we already have it on there. So I'm going to just briefly show you what we took off of it and what we put onto it. So it's pretty self-explanatory as far as how you install it. You basically remove those 4 screws there. They are Phillips screws, so you'll need your little Phillips screwdriver there to take those out. Once you take it out, you just pop that plate off, you'll remove the rubber grommet there, and then you'll install the new one. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you will have to remove the plastic plug from the wiring in order to fit it through the hole. And I can show you, this is the hole you'll be fitting it through. And then this is the original. So you can see here, it has a notch that'll make those wires come out of the side, as opposed to the new one, where the hole will allow it to come out the back. So we installed this one. It is installed now. Very easy to do. Like I said, the hardest part is basically getting these pieces right here, or this plug off, and then getting it back on. Just throw it back on once it's already all the way through. So just keep that in mind as you guys are going through this build. If you're gonna be changing that plate out, just throw the plug back on. Remember which way it came off, and just plug those 3 prongs back in, so that you have the plug back together. And that's all you'll need to do to wire that servo with the new back plate. So now that that's there, we'll go ahead and put this onto the servo mount onto the chassis, and then we'll start to rewire everything else up to the motor. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now, for this particular servo mount, you will have 3 different holes there. You'll see that servo mounts there in the middle. Now, for the Little Guy Racing parts, part options, you do have the ability to put a limiting strap mount on top of the servo. Now, I don't have that on here because I put my limiting bands in a different position, in a different way for most of my builds. So I'll show you that in a little bit what I use. And then if you guys do want some of those, I should have some available. I can send them out to you. If you guys want some, you just message me, and then we'll send a couple of those out to you. But basically, we're just going to mount the servo here. We'll go ahead and get that mounted just like that. So far, looking very clean. And then what I'm going to do is mount the servo horn to the link right here. And the reason being that I'm going to do that right now is so that I have it all ready to go once I get to that part where I'm going to test out the servo. So I'm going to go ahead and just mount that horn. And I'll show you the position that I mount mine so you guys can see how that is. There are different ways to do it. However, like I said, this is the way that I do my build, and it works for me. Actually, put that on the wrong way. You want to make sure you have it in the right position, and I'll show you how that is here. All right. So we have that servo horn mounted right there, and you'll see where it's going to connect to the servo itself, but we're going to leave it detached for the time being. Just wanted to mount it there. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and take our motor. Now, I do have a video that'll show you exactly how to install this along with the ESC, and the one we're installing is the MicroPython. And I'll be linking that video here in the top. Should you guys want to watch that video on how to install this, it'll be there. Now, I did pre-prep these with double-sided tape for the ESC, as well as the receiver here. And again, we are using the Meus M04B, and you can see how small that is, especially in comparison to the MicroPython. You take both of these side by side, very small and compact to save room in your builds. And I use those mostly for everything. Some it's better than others. This has a lot of room to mount things, but I still like to keep it very compact. So let's go ahead and get the motor installed with the transmission. And this is the Stellar transmission from Furitek. Again, I do have a video on this should you guys want to watch it. So usually what I do is I'll kind of space it where you'll see the holes for the skid plate and the motor mount. And then I'll just attach the drivetrain accordingly. Actually, let me show you kind of the placement here. So just like that. And from there, we're just going to attach the drivetrain, and then we'll get it all screwed in. All right, so we have our motor mounted and our drive shafts installed. All of that looking pretty good. Now, at this point, I'm probably going to start putting in our wiring where it's going to need to be placed, and I'll show you where that goes. I'll zip tie it all together so you can kind of see how I zip tie and kind of keep the wires out of the way for this build. And then I'll also add our limiting straps here in a little bit, just because I'll be needing those installed to keep everything in place. And those are going to be these rubber bands right here. I mentioned these in videos in the past, but I haven't really spoken too in depth about them. But as you can see, the way our springs are set up and our long travel shocks, with those rubber bands, I'll be able to keep everything nice and condensed down, and it'll unload when I need it to unload when we're out. So you kind of see one band there already kind of keeps it nice and tight. We're going to add another one to the other side, and that will really kind of keep everything nice and tight in there. So you're going to see how those are going to work in the comparison from the front to the rear. So let's go ahead and throw the rear ones on so we have those all ready to go. And that right there, on the most part, is how I'm going to keep everything to ride at the height that I want it to ride. So now I'm going to install the servo. Actually, we won't do the servo horn yet. We got to install some other things first, but let's go ahead and get everything else wired up and installed. I'm going to place where I want the ESC, which more than likely I'm going to have riding on the passenger side here, with the red wire for the battery facing forward, since I'm going to have the battery ride right on this plate right here in the front, just behind the servo. So we're going to mount that right there, and then we're going to mount the receiver just on the other side to plug into everything that we need. So it's gonna be mounted just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and tape that up and get it mounted, and then we'll come right back. All right, so we have our receiver, our ESC, and motor all connected. Now the wiring isn't as pretty as I usually like it, but I just wanted to kind of get it set up for us to be used and get this tested out. So there it is, all ready to go. Now I've already did the bind to the controller and the receiver, so it's all ready to go as far as the transmitter and everything. So I'm gonna plug in the battery so that we can get the servo horn installed. So I'm gonna plug in the battery. We actually just first turn on our controller. Now this controller, I believe, holds 5 or 8 different receivers for different cars. So right now I think I have 4 of them installed, and this is gonna be our Little Guy Racing Parts number 2. So we're gonna go ahead and plug in the battery now that that's turned on. You'll see and hear everything power up right there. And what I'm going to do here is essentially I'm going to take the servo horn, and I'm going to make sure that the front axle is as straight as I can see and eyeball it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just install that servo horn right where it stays just straight, so I don't have to adjust very much on the trim. See if we can get that installed. For some reason, it's not wanting to go in. There it goes. All right, so that's pretty straight there, and I have that installed there. We're gonna go ahead and put the set screw in. We'll install our tires, and then we will install our body. And I'll go ahead and get the battery installed in the front where I want it installed, so that we can get that all done up. Right now it's kind of just hanging, but this battery is gonna be sitting right here in the front, just like that. So we can kind of keep all that weight in the front, and we don't have anything here in the rear. So as we're going to mount that battery just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this. Now I normally don't use the on and off switch. As you guys know, when I went I described in my other video, that ESC button there is very hard and difficult to switch on and off. So I usually just keep it on. I just keep the battery plugged in or out. And then here we can see where I zip tied and mounted the wiring for the servo. Also nice and wired up there. I'm going to trim this off now, and then we're going to go ahead and get the wheels installed, and then get that body installed. Now, the wheels that we're going to be installing are the Cyclone wheels in white. I showed you those earlier. I didn't show the part where I installed them onto the bead locks themselves as far as the tires, and we are using the black label tires just because I have another video describing that, and I'll link that here in the top. But I will show you a close-up of the tires that we installed. Again, they are the Cyclone tires in white, And what I have here, and I'll also link these, is the weights that we have on our tires in the front, and then we have Injora extensions in the rear. I don't always use those, but for this build, given how I have the body trimmed, I am going to use it for this build. But just keep in mind that I will link those in the description as well, should you guys want those same extensions and the same weights here in the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab those wheels, get them installed, and I'll show you guys that, and then I'll go ahead and install the body, and we'll show you guys the completed build of the Little Guy Racing Parts comp chassis. All right, so we have the wheels and the body installed onto the black comp chassis. Looks very good, very clean. I actually really love the way it came out and the way it fits perfectly. You can see the center on that bumper, and the body is perfect. Now, one thing that I didn't have for some reason, or maybe I lost it, I'm not sure. I didn't have the complete side rails here where it actually folds over and tucks that body in. So it's the first time I'm seeing it. I might have to see if I can order those, maybe get those printed, but that is nice that that's there and they include that with the kit. For some reason, I don't know where that piece is from my other kit, so I haven't seen those yet, but a very, very nice touch by Little Guy Racing Parts that they have that there. But it looks very clean. As you can see, the way I have it spaced out, and a lot of the questions I get is how I get it to ride so low. And again, it's with those limiting straps, and those are rubber bands. I will put those little baggies, and if you guys want a set, I'll send you guys some, just let me know. But I'm gonna go ahead and open this up real quick, get the battery installed so you guys can kind of see the clearance that we have on the tires. And then we'll take it out and give it just a quick test run on how it works out on our course. So go ahead and make sure this is all turned on and get this plugged in. And again, I installed that Velcro here on the front, so we have all that weight nice in the front, and then that Velcro will just hold that battery in place, so I don't have any type of strap, as you can see. And then we'll just get this closed up. And I'll show you guys just real quick how this functions with it all together. So there you see there. It looks very good. And as far as the turn radius, we have all of our turning capabilities. Turn this over so you guys can see that. Now we'll adjust the trim slightly once we get out there, but I really do like these Little Guy Racing Part axles. As you can see, we have a ton of ability to turn right and left, so I do love that. And again, we have all that clearance. Even if I were to hold this all the way down, let me move my hands out of the way there. Even if I were to hold this all the way down and pinch it so the shocks are all the way closed, still see we have the ability to turn, and then that's where you get that nice low look on the truck. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. We'll give it a quick test run. And again, I'll be linking all of the parts and everything that we use in this build in our description, and I'll try to link it as we're going along, should you guys want to put one of these together. And then I will also put a total cost for what I put into this. So if you guys are looking to build something from the ground up that's really good as far as reliability, now a lot of that reliability sometimes will come from the motor that you install in the transmission, obviously, but the chassis and the working engineering and just the way everything fits together from Little Guy Racing Parts, I really love the fit, the fitment, the look, the ability to customize and move things around as far as the shock towers and just everything, how everything sits really low and nice. So if you guys want something that's reliable and that's really cool as far as how it looks and is very capable, as you guys will see here in a little bit, we'll show you guys that too. Now, I've never used the Black Label tires. I've only used the claw hammer, and the claw hammer hammers have worked very, very well. So we'll see how the Black Labels do. If there is a difference from my just viewing it and testing it, I'll let you guys know. And if it's very significant, I may just do a video comparing the two, because I know this is a very popular tire, and so is the claw hammer. But I'll go ahead and stop talking. We'll take it outside and give it a test run. All right, we have our Little Guy Racing Parts truck all ready to go to test out on our course. All the trims are set, looking really good with that blue color. Let's go ahead and start it out. Nice slow crawl with that Furitek motor inside. Look at that transmission. I will eventually paint the windows black, give it some nice tint. Let's go ahead and get this started on our course. Give it a quick test run, make sure everything is working properly. Oh, coming in at a better angle there. Now, the one thing I like about these trucks and these builds
Again, I mentioned some of the precision of the parts, how reliable they are as far as functionality and how they fit together, is that this thing does most everything good. Not the best at everything, but it does everything really well, especially on this course, and me going up against other guys is kind of having fun. It's very surprising to see how well it does, given its long base and that bumper. Sometimes it does get in the way, but for the most part, it doesn't cause me too many issues. You know, that length kind of gets in the way, but you get a little bit of speed there, it'll make it ride up and over. Now the turn radius on these wheels is something I also love. I'm sorry, on the wheels, on the axles. It's something I always appreciated from Little Guy Racing parts, is that turning radius. I'm not sure the degree, I'll have to check on that, but I do really enjoy how I'm able to turn pretty much out of every angle that I need it to do. Let's see here. Now I'm going to come down the stairs. I should be able to do it with this build. I don't anticipate I'll have too many issues. Just gotta get it lined up correctly here. Perfect. Now this little spiral staircase sometimes gives a lot of cars issues. This one does it, but you do have to give it a little bit of throttle at the end. Instead of sending down this way and come around. Check out that speed there. I know I have to give a little bit of throttle at the end of that one, but it does pick up that speed quite quickly. I do love the color combination of the blue and the white tires and that white stripe there. Makes everything look nice. So far so good. I wanted to test out that staircase because I know that's usually an issue for some cars. Even more modded cars that tends to give a challenge to anything, whether it's a comp car. Go ahead and come down this way. I'm going to come back around to this rock right here. This rock's been giving some issues to certain cars with certain tires, just because this is a little bit slick. Let's see how it does with this build right here. Go ahead and come up this right here. Sorry about that. My girls are at camp. Just getting an update from them. I was trying to turn off my phone before recording, but it happens on occasion. Coming down that nice and smooth. Now we're going to go ahead and come around on this side. This rock has a little bit steeper of an angle. And again, this is sometimes an issue for certain cars coming up at the incline that I am. It looks like this is going to handle it with ease. Coming down. Do a full circle there, come back around and do that again just because it's so great doing it. And again, we'll get a little bit closer angle here to really see what we're doing. Take it slow. Those black label tires seem to be doing very well. I do just have the regular foams in these. I didn't change anything out. Sometimes we put the yellow inserts from Injora in these. I just haven't done that for this build. But so far, so good. You can see some of that flex as I come down. Really wanted to show you guys that. Mess with those rubber bands. in place. I'm not sure if I showed you guys that, but I'll show you guys here when I get back how that works. So far, so good. And go up this fender here. Around. Let's go and hit this angle right here. See if we can get this thing straight up and over. We do have that bumper drag just a little bit. You can kind of see it there. That's one thing that would be a negative with these builds, but like I said, on the most part, this thing does everything well. This comp chassis, being the length that it is, doesn't really hinder it too much. Go ahead and turn this thing up the bridge. Now I'm going to come around the other side real quick so you guys can see what I'm doing here, but essentially we're going to go get this line straight into that bridge right there. And the reason why I'm going to do this is that I've found that some cars, whether it be rental cars or even modified cars, have an issue getting up this straight right here and up. They sometimes have to come up this way, which I did on purpose so cars can actually make it from the bottom to the top. But I'm going to try to just come straight head on and see if I can do this with this truck. I've done it in my other build, and I think this one's capable. It's really going to be more on the tires if it's able to do it or not. Looks like we're a little short there. So, looks like we can just get that wheel to catch right there. Just come at a different angle. Rear end to catch there. So hung up on the axle a little bit. Yeah, I can see it hung up on the axle. There we go. A little bit of speed there. It's a nice thing about these brushless motors. You got the speed and when you need it. Getting all that low end power when you want it the most. Coming up the bridge isn't an issue. Right, now let me get this situated to come down. Don't anticipate we'll have any issues here, only because my other build can do this, but we're going to find out right now. Alright, we're going to go ahead and send this thing up and over this mound right here. Go ahead and send him through the tunnel. Looking good. I haven't really got caught up on any, as I say that. Haven't really got caught up on anything. So that's pretty good. Now I'm gonna come around. There is a line that me and Tony try to do with some of our cars, and I'll show you that right now. Basically is that we come up this area here and we try to loop around the bridge and go up. So I'm gonna see if this thing can do it. Let me come around so we get a better angle of that. So essentially what we try to do is just basically come this way and up here. Now this rock is giving us issues because I do spray everything with the sealer and it tends to make things a little bit slick sometimes. So we're gonna see if this is able to do that line. And again, this is really showcasing the capability of the Little Guy Racing Part comp chassis and the build. Again, this has been one of my favorite brands just because it's capable of most everything that I want it to do. It's fun, it's reliable, the parts are great. Looks like we're good. And what I try to do is catch that tire on that wood there to help me spin around. Oh, it looks like we're gonna be good here. May not catch that other side, but as long as we don't fall off, I would call it a win. I'll definitely be putting some inserts in and getting rid of that foam because these tires tend to roll up good when I'm turning, but looks like we're gonna make it up. Yep. So very good. That's not something that all cars can do, and given this one's a fresh build and I haven't driven it, that's pretty good for me. That's a line that we always, you know, work with, have fun with. My Nacho chassis with different axles like the Mias can do that line, but not all cars can. So for me, that's pretty impressive. I do like that fact that this build can do it with these tires. It was more a testament of the tires than anything. I know that the claw hammers can do it. I've done it with the claw hammers before. Again, I've never tested the Black Label tires, so I wanted to put these in that build. But so far, like I said, just wanted to showcase, and I do love this build. I love the color. It's gonna be something I take out. I might do a white one to keep that red, white, and blue because I have a red body as well. Get ready for the 4th of July. But there it is. Little Guy Racing Part comp chassis, fully built. I'm gonna put together some pricing so you guys know how much this cost me. And should you guys want to put something together like that, you guys can. And again, as you look into the, if you can see it here, shocks, you can see where I have the limiting bands, and that's really what helps me get this thing to do what I need to do. You don't have that unload as you're coming up or down, but you still have that flexibility like you guys saw. Now the bands aren't perfect, they do break, but just keep extras with you. Just some advice to get these things to do what I'm doing here, and again, being really capable for most scenarios. We don't tip this thing at the very end, but oh, we've done so well. Do one more thing here. See if we can come up this rock just straight on. I know it'll probably get caught up, like most parts probably will, right at the top. You see it's kind of a point. But let's see what we can do. That bumper doesn't stop us. Sorry about that camera movement, trying to get this guy to go. Let's try a different angle here. Let's just go up this way. See it hitting that link there. Looking at it, you would say, oh, this car can't do it, but I'm gonna give it a try. Just do a simple angle here. Come around the side of it. Coming straight up, of course, I wasn't gonna be able to do it, but as you can see, find a way. Alright, let's go ahead inside, talk about it, get some pricing for you guys. Very beautiful. If you guys want to see how I did the body, I'm more than likely be doing a paint video on how I did the body. If you guys have any experience with painting any type of RC body, you guys already know how to do it. But if you guys don't, and you guys want to see how I did it, let me know in the comments. I'm indecisive I'm going to do it or not. I do have an extra body, so we'll see. But all right, let's go talk about it.
All right, so as you guys saw, our little truck here performed great on our course. There wasn't anything that I threw at it that it wasn't able to do. It was able to go down the stairs, up everything that we had, up the bridge, down the incline, over rocks, and a lot of different other obstacles. So I knew that it was going to do great on that course because I have another build similar to this, but I wanted to bring to you a video that shows you everything that I put into this, from the cost, how I set it up, from the limiting straps and internally, so you guys can see how it was put together. Now I will kind of show it here so you guys, I know some guys have questions as far as the spacing of the shocks, so you guys can screenshot that and take a look how I have all that spaced out. There were some minor tweaks that I did off camera, but nothing major. Now where you see the shocks and how I have my bands set there, I do have little bags of these bands. Should you guys want any, just feel free to message me through Instagram. That's WorkHardRC on Instagram. If you DM me through there and I can put together a set, I'll ship out a few of them for free just so you guys can have them. I'll send out maybe like 8 of them or so. But with the weight of these wheels and this truck, one band tends to work really, really well. Now the total cost of this build is about $740. And that's going to be a fully custom little guy racing parts build, from the axles to the tires to everything, including the motor, the ESC, even the controller. So I did put in the prices, which I'll put right here on the side so you guys can check that out. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and stop. I'll put a picture of the truck with the price list and everything that I have in it so you guys can go ahead and screenshot that. I'll do that now. So as you guys can see, for about $740, you get a build that has everything that you need to run, from the receiver, the controller, pretty much everything. Now I tend to get orange. I know some folks don't like orange, but I like orange because of the fact that if I'm at an event, it's easy to see. If I'm out with like the kids and I have it laying around, I know where it's going, whether it's with a kid or somebody who's not supposed to be with. I do the same thing with the cases. I do them in bright orange, and that's just me. But they do have it in black if you guys want this controller in black. Now, there's a lot that goes into this controller. If you guys want a video on how I set this up or how I set up my vehicle and kind of navigate through this on specific questions, let me know. I'll do a video for you guys. But that's the controller I use, and I use the micro. This is the M04B. See how tiny that is? Actually, you can see all the room and how much I have it spaced out. I did include in the listing the battery. And I have links on the description that takes you through everything that you need, including the battery. Now I like this battery because it fits perfectly right here in the front. And as you can see, I have all that weight sitting in the front. Works out very well. And as you guys saw, I did prove to do extremely well on our course. Now, I will be painting another body in red, just because I messed up the other one that I had. This one came out immaculate, but this is another one that I have. What happened was I painted it red. I took off the stripe for the white, and the red wasn't dry enough. And when I painted the white, the red kind of bled into it. So kind of covered it up with some decals. It looks okay, but I wasn't happy with it. So we'll do that again. But this body came out immaculate. If you guys want a video on how I did the body, how I painted it and prepped it, let me know, and I'll do a video for you guys on that as well. If you guys have experience in painting RC bodies, it's the same process you would take, just on a smaller scale. If you guys are used to like 110 scale, this is a 124 scale. So I do really like these builds. And again, I mentioned it throughout the video, but my thing is I like to just kind of have fun. Of course, it's fun to do a comp build, take it out on some rocks, do some crazy things with it. But sometimes I just like to take it out in the rocks, on the trail, and just have fun, whether it be with the kids or with some friends. And this thing, like I've said many times, is it does everything. Now, maybe not everything well, but it's very capable against any of the other cars that are out there. And that's why I love this brand so much. Also, they're in California, so I'm being from Bakersfield. They're in Simi Valley. They ship very quickly. Now, in my experience and from what I hear, they ship quick irregardless of where you're at. So just know that if you order from them, they're going to ship very quickly. They are in the U.S. As opposed to other companies that are like out of the country. This will ship from the U.S. and they'll have their items in stock. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm ordering this, but it's gonna drop ship from some other place. They ship from their location in Simi Valley, so that's a really cool feature as well that I also appreciate. Now I am a member, and I'm not sure if it's a club or whatever it is. I do subscribe to their website, so I pay $9.99 a month. They also have an option, I believe it's $99.99 for the year. And essentially what that does is it gives you 15% off, and it also gives you the ability to have your items shipped within 24 hours of it being ordered, and you get free shipping. There are some other perks, like getting the ability to purchase new drops 24 hours before they're out to the public. So I did take advantage of that. I got the Spider 9s, which I'll be doing another video on in the future. I got those the day they came out for members, and I received them the next day when they came out to the public. So that was really cool. I do already have these installed in another build, which you actually just saw briefly there. But again, little guy racing part, X Factor body and chassis, the comp chassis. Very, very fun. And for about $740, you're going to have yourself a very capable rig. And I know there's videos out there about some parts. I'm not sure if there's a video out there about an entire build like this, but this is going to include some things that I do to my cars that will stand out. I get a lot of questions when I post on Instagram about why my car rides or my truck rides so low. How do I get to do that? And again, that's because of those limiting bands right there. You kind of see how I have those set up. What I'll do here is I'll kind of hold this on the side for a minute so you guys can see how I have everything set up there. There was some minor tweaks, but I do get questions as far as my shocks and how they're set up and the spacing. So that'll allow you to see what I did there and how I got it to work for myself. Now, if you guys want any of those limiting bands, I do have little baggies with them. I'll send them out to you if you guys message me through Instagram. That's WorkHardRC. I'll send some of those out to you. But for this build, I only needed one band. And again, you got to see what it does with one band. Now I'll show you the difference of a truck with the bands and without. So this, obviously, you'll see, let me close this up. You'll see this with the bands installed. Now these are different axles, but to kind of give you an idea, if you can see how that rides there, and you already saw it in action, so you know that it actually does still have the flex as opposed to without the bands. So you can see how it groups there with the tires and axles compared to with the bands without. This eventually will get bands. It's just a little bit different setup with those Spider 9s. I'll have to adjust accordingly, but you can see the difference between the two builds with the limiting bands that I put on and where I put them as opposed to not having any bands at all. So performance wise, again, one of my absolute favorite brands in the sense of how they function. Now I do love a lot of my other cars. I have built several others. I do have a comp rig right here that we'll be doing a video on in the future. Now this one is cool and all, and it is fun to take out, but it's just something about taking out one of these little Toyotas, and they're a lot of fun. So for $740, again, I listed everything here on the side. I'll do it here briefly again so you guys can check that out. Now throughout the video, I did try my best to put a picture of all the different images of things that I was talking about at that time. And if I didn't, I will be linking that in the description. So if you guys like this video, please subscribe. I do thank everybody for watching. Also, if you guys have any questions or just want to see anything different, feel free to comment on the bottom there, and I will make sure to try to get to every single question if I can. And again, I'll be doing more videos based around this particular brand in the future. We'll be installing the Spider 9 axles onto another build. I'll more than likely do a video on how to paint a body. I'm still in between it, but more than likely I'll do at least a portion of how I at least prep the body and prep the fenders for the wheels to fit. So if you want to build like this, watch this video, pause it, screenshot it, do whatever you need. But this is what I did to for my little guy racing parts X Factor build. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.